Hello and welcome to this series of videos where I show you very easy ways of doing blended learning in your lessons and how to maximize some of the tools that are available there on the web to basically maximize to use in your lessons in a blended learning situation. So today is going to be about we're going to be talking and everything's going to be about quizzes and quizzing time, and for that I'm going to show you how I use in my lessons quizzes and how I use Carousel Learning. So let's start with quizzes first. I'm not going to show you how to create the quizzes. I do have in my channel a tutorial on how to do that. So you're more than welcome to have a look at what I'm going to show you is basically how do I use it in the lesson. I do use quizzes quite a lot. I do use it for retrieval practice, and I do use it rather than just to quiz just single vocabulary, whole sentences, translations of sentences. Okay, all topics we've done 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 3 months ago, even a year ago, mixed up with new topics. Okay, so I do a little bit of mixture of everything, and I also use it in preparation for oral practice, and that's basically how I want to show you today. Once you create a quizzes, you got the option to do it live, just in there, go and do it, or you do have the option as well to do it, to assign it as homework. It doesn't really mean homework, it means basically there is a link that they give you, but I think that is the paid version of quizzes. Okay, so that's not, if you don't pay for quizzes, you can only do the live version now, which is absolutely fine. But I do like having the link, because then I can reuse it several times. The kids can reuse it later on if they click on the link. That's the only difference. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it for oral preparation. So instead of coming to a lesson and just say, okay, we're going to do oral work, of course we do prefer revision as a whole class, retrieval practice with the whole class with all different tools. What I tend to do then is, okay, we're going to prepare for this oral, and then what you're going to do is you're going to be working now in silence for 5-10 minutes preparing the questions to this oral. And this is what I've done previously. I've created a quizzes, but instead of being questions and answers, translations, or wherever, my questions are real questions I have recorded myself, because in quizzes you are allowed to record 10 seconds basically of audio. So these are questions about free time, only 5 of them. So what the kids do is, in preparation for the oral, they come here. Okay, I've shared the link with them, but you can, if you create it, you can start your live quiz just now on there, and the kids basically will end up with something like this basically. So we're gonna, oh, sorry about that. Okay, so they end up with something like that. They're gonna start over, because I done this test before. Okay, and what they do is this basically. They listen to my question that I've recorded. ¿Qué haces en tu tiempo libre? What do you do in your free time? ¿Qué haces en tu tiempo libre? And what the students do in preparation for the orals, they write everything they could say to answer the question to the best of the possibility, with no help of their exercise book or their OneNote. So, ¿qué haces durante el tiempo libre? Okay, so, sorry, was it present or past? ¿Qué haces en tu tiempo libre? It's present tense, okay. En mi tiempo libre, so this would be the students writing. Okay, voy al cine, and then at that point, the students have already been told very clearly, you need to extend your answers, you need to try to include as many tenses as possible, and this works really well, because it's like 5 minutes to say, this is what I would say. If someone asks me this question, this is what I would say. Once they are happy with their answer, obviously much longer than this, in order to do this, they do have an open-ended, what I've done is I created a quizzes where the answer is an open-ended answer. So they give them up to 500 characters for them to write an answer. That means it won't be recorded, it won't be marked, because there's no point in the way of seeing if it's right or wrong. In fact, I'm not interested in here on what to do with this, because what I want, to see if it's right or wrong, because this is a self-assessment for the kids, and the kids do know that. This is not a test. This is a test. Actually, this is not a test. This is for you to know how much you know, and for you to give you confidence to do the oral activity that we're going to do next. The submit, and when submitted, we'll go to the next. ¿Qué te gusta ver en la televisión? Okay. ¿Qué te gusta ver en la televisión? Okay. ¿Qué te gusta ver en la televisión? So in la televisión, I like, so you get the idea. Once they created this, and we'll give them about 5-10 minutes maximum. Okay, then we do the oral activity. The oral activity could be a role play based on this. It could be questions and answers. Normally, I tend to use the same questions they've done in writing. Now they're going to do it properly, orally, with their partners, for example, or sometimes with the oral assistant. So this actually works really well in preparing them for that. So very good. This is basically how I do use quizzes in the classroom, especially before an oral activity. And this is what I call blended learning. If the students do not have a computer with them, remember this is not allowed to write about on, so they could use a mobile if that is allowed in your classroom. And the next tool I'm going to talk to you about is Carousel Learning. Jane Basner has created really good, very good tutorial on how to create a quiz and how to use Carousel Learning. But basically, at the moment, what you do is that you need to upload basically some question banks that you upload here. And the idea is your question bank will include a lot of different topics. And then what you do is that you create quizzes based on those question banks that you have pre-populated previously. Okay, so that is basically how I do it. My question banks for Spanish is a lot of sentences in English into Spanish. That's what it is, using all the vocabulary of all the things from all the topics from GCSE. Once you do that, you need to create classes, but there is no login details for the kids, like there is no login details either for Quizizz. You just share the link. Okay, so that's really, really nice. And what you do is that you go to create. Okay, sorry, it's asking me to sign in because it's been open for so long. Okay, so this is basically what it would look like. You say what quiz, you give a name to your quiz. You say what is your bank that you, at the moment I do have one with all the topics, and then you choose whether your bank, okay, of basically of questions, what topics you actually want to revise. And this is key for Carousel Learning, because Carousel Learning is brilliant for retrieval practice, because I want to say I want festivals, and then I may say I want future plans, and then I want to say I want to do relationships, because we did that in year 10 and probably you've already forgotten. So that gives you this option of recycling as many topics as you want to. Then I want to have a number of 20 questions, and then it gives you select which questions. So what it does, that you pre-populate it before, remember, with an Excel document, you have here from the topics that you set, basically, that gives you, so if I can put this down, doesn't matter where I put them, it tells you here the topics from the relationships. I said I want 20 questions. I could say, okay, this will be good, this will be good, this will be good. 3 from relationships from last year, see what they can remember. Future plans, I want this question, I want that question, I want the other question. You get the idea. And what is very important to remember, can you see what I've done, is all sentences. So this is not chunks. For that I use Quizlet. This is not isolated words. For that I may use Quizlet. I don't tend to use a lot of isolated words. These I want to say the kids would be able to say these sentences, basically, based on the vocabulary. So this is really good for productive skills, but also obviously for translation, because it is what it is. It is basically a translation. I can say confirm. It may say that is wrong because I said 20, so it's expecting me to do 20. But basically, when you created that, it create your quiz, and it will give you a specific URL, very important, like in Quizizz. What you do is that you share that with the students. The way I do it, I share that in my OneNote, because this is my vehicle. And what I'm going to do is that I'm using Helen Myers as my student here, so I don't want to show any of the students' names, obviously, for obvious reasons. And the students, imagine, this is Helen Myers. She's got the option to revise first, okay, or just take the quiz. Revise means would be You got the option to revise all the questions on the topic, which is normally what I do. All the actual questions are going to come up in the quiz. The way I use Carousel Learning, again, is not for a test. It's another tool for them to diagnose how well they know the topic. So normally I say to the kids, don't use the revision because this is not a real test. Let's take the quiz. Okay, so yes, I'm ready. It's a quiz, it's not really a test. And this is what happens. So this is the questions and the students. La última, okay, película que he visto trata de guerra. Okay, so this would be actually perfect, but they may make mistakes, whatever you want to. They go up to, they go up to 700. So there's quite long sentences you can write because there's up to 700 characters. Remember, if you want, you can have another bank of questions, and instead of translations, you could be questions, as we did in Quizizz, and there would be, a modelic kind of question answer in there as well. And they go to the next one, and they don't get feedback at the moment. Okay, so they just write the next one. Okay, so I don't know how many there are here. I hope they're not all there. And all the 18, okay, but we're gonna be here forever. They just write something else, and they go to next. And they go to next, and they go to next. So I'm gonna quickly, because I'm not very good, so I don't know this. But can you see basically the idea? The way to do this is the same as we did with Quizizz. I give the students, we are doing a normal lessons, and then in the middle of the lesson I said, okay, everybody, we are gonna practice. You're gonna do a self-evaluation here. Okay, using, or at the beginning of the lesson, I'm using a quiz with a lot of things from past topics. I can do whatever I want to in the lesson. Everybody does it in the lesson. Again, this is not a lot to write, so they could actually do it in here. If the answer is perfect, this one, it will tell them, and this is the important thing, it doesn't tell them right or wrong. If it's right, they will tell you, but if it's wrong, it won't tell you it's wrong. The kids actually will say if it's right or wrong. They go to next one, and this one is, and this is why it's important. Obviously, this is what I wrote. The Carousel Learning can see it's definitely not right, but then they give them the option to the child to say, was I wrong or was I correct? This is very important because sometimes there are different ways of saying things. Quizizz, if it's wrong and it doesn't it's not exactly as what you wrote, okay, you want to do this type of activities like translation, it will say it's wrong. Learning apps will say it's wrong. But Carousel Learning, if there is different ways of saying something, and the kids actually, they can actually say, I am correct, because I know this is another way of saying something. Or they may be in the lessons like me. Definitely I could say this. I normally encourage them to talk to their partner and say, was it possible to say this? Why is this wrong? Or why is this, so they have those kinds of conversations. I think they're very, very important. Okay. Or they may say, actually, yes, I was wrong, because I always tell them, if it's something like a verb, please say it's wrong. If it's something like an accent on a verb, it's definitely wrong, because an accent on a verb is crucial. But if it's an accent on something else, just give it yourself as correct. Although I'm not saying that accents are important, but we need to be, to put things into balance. So that's basically how we do it. So they spend altogether, probably, if say something like this, like 18 questions, we can spend 10-15 minutes of the lesson doing this. And it's a very powerful tool because it makes the kid think, and it creates opportunities for them to talk about their learning and to talk about the language and to discuss with their partner. Because although later on I can see the progress when I log in, I keep telling them this is not a test really. This is for you to see what is right and what is wrong. And what they do after this is like, actually, I was really bad with relationships. This is a topic we did last year. I have not revised it really well. Or someone may say, oh, actually, I was really bad with future plans. Okay, in that case, what you're going to do today is you're going to create a target. And your homework for today is going to be to practice the vocabulary, the sentence builders, and to retake this again at home after doing some practice. Okay, remember that at the beginning of the quiz, they got the option to do practice. Okay, so this is basically a little bit of self-assessment, taking ownership for their own learning. So these are two really good uses that you can have with Quizizz, using Quizizz, or Quizizz, or using Carousel Learning. Okay, in the lessons for homework as well. But very easily in the lesson, just with the access to a mobile if you need to, and of course ideal if you do have a computer. I hope you found this useful.